Long before foreign ships touched its shores, the Gold Coast was a land of kings and kingdoms. The Ashanti, the Fante, the Ga, and the U, each with their own traditions, chiefs, and warriors. A land blessed with fertile soil, flowing rivers, and an abundance of gold. But in the year 1471, everything changed. White sails appeared on the horizon, carrying men who came not to honor the people, but to take from them. These were the Portuguese, the first Europeans to set foot on the Gold Coast. At first, they traded peacefully. Beads, cloth, rum, and guns for ivory, pepper, and gold. The locals welcomed the exchange, unaware of the storm that was about to come. Soon, stone fortresses began to rise, massive structures built not only to store gold, but also to control the coast. Elmina Castle, built in 1482, was the first of many. It would become more than a trading post. It would become a prison. The Portuguese, and later the Dutch, Danes, and British, turned the Gold Coast into the center of the transatlantic slave trade. Men, women, and children were captured in raids or bought from rival chiefs. Shackled together, they were forced into suffocating dungeons, awaiting the ships that would carry them away. Through the narrow passage known as the Door of No Return, millions were sent across the ocean. To the Caribbean. To the Americas. To lives of unimaginable suffering. The Gold Coast, once a land of wealth and freedom, became a land of sorrow. For centuries, European powers fought for control of this land. The Portuguese ruled first. Then the Dutch seized their forts. The Danes built castles of their own. Even the Swedes tried their hand. But by the 1800s, the British had risen to dominance. Piece by piece, they took over the coast, driving out their rivals. And in 1821, the British Crown declared the Gold Coast a colony. The arrival of British rule changed everything. They sent governors upon governors to control the land. They imposed taxes. They controlled trade. They forced the people to work in mines and on plantations. The Gold Coast became the jewel of Britain's African possessions, rich in cocoa, timber, and minerals. But while wealth poured into London, the people of the Gold Coast remained trapped in poverty. European governors lived in mansions. Africans were confined to villages, their freedom stripped away. Those who resisted paid dearly. Villages were burned. Chiefs who opposed the British were humiliated or exiled. The Ashanti Empire, one of the greatest African kingdoms, fought bravely to defend its land. In war after war, the Ashanti resisted British rule. But European guns and ruthless tactics brought devastation. The people were abused, exploited, and made strangers in their own land. Colonialism was not only about land. It was about control of the mind. The British introduced their schools, their language, their laws. They sought to erase African traditions, replacing them with European ways of life. Generations grew up under a system designed to make them feel inferior, to believe they were subjects, not citizens. But deep in their hearts, the people of the Gold Coast never forgot who they were. While the British grew wealthy, the land itself was drained. Cocoa became the lifeblood of the colony, grown by African farmers but sold for British profit. Gold and timber were extracted endlessly. The very soil of the Gold Coast was exploited, its riches carried away, leaving little behind for its people. Colonialism was not partnership. It was robbery. But the people did not stay silent. By the early 20th century, a new spirit of resistance began to grow. Workers protested unfair wages. Farmers resisted oppressive taxes. Intellectuals began to question why foreigners ruled their homeland. A movement for freedom was born. In the 1940s and 1950s, this movement grew stronger under leaders like Kwame Nkrumah. Charismatic, determined, and fearless, Nkrumah became the voice of the people. He spoke of a Ghana that would rise again, free from colonial rule. A nation that would stand as a beacon for all of Africa. The British tried to silence him. They jailed him. But the people would not be silenced. And so, on March 6, 1957, after centuries of colonization, the Gold Coast declared its independence. It was reborn as Ghana, the first African nation to break free from European colonial rule. That day, the world witnessed the dawn of a new Africa. A continent rising from the chains of slavery and colonization. The story of the Gold Coast is one of pain and resilience. Of centuries of suffering under foreign rule. Of governors, slave traders, and oppressors. But it is also the story of resistance. Of warriors, thinkers, and leaders who refuse to let the African spirit die. Today, Ghana stands proud and free. Yet the castles, the dungeons, and the memories remain, a reminder of a dark past, and the strength it took to overcome it. This is the story of the colonization of the Gold Coast, and the rebirth of Ghana.